Welcome to ESG Insight Hub Pakistan. In this lesson, we will explore 6 major environmental factors that organizations need to consider as part of ESG: climate change, pollution, water, waste, energy, and biodiversity. We will also see why these issues are not simply environmental concerns. They can create important business, financial, operational, and reputational risks. Environmental ESG isn't just about reducing harm, it's about managing risks and seizing opportunities. Organizations must understand their environmental impact and dependence on natural resources to thrive in today's world. The environmental pillar of ESG examines how an organization interacts with the natural environment. This includes the environmental impacts created by its operations, but also its dependence on natural resources. For example, a manufacturing company may depend on water and energy to operate. At the same time, its activities may generate emissions, wastewater, or waste. Environmental ESG therefore asks 4 important questions. What environmental impacts does the organization create? What environmental risks does it face? What natural resources does it depend on? And what actions is it taking to manage these risks and opportunities? There are many environmental issues that organizations can consider, but in this lesson we will focus on 6 major areas: climate change, pollution, water, waste, energy, and biodiversity. Together, these factors help us understand an organization's relationship with the environment. Let's start with climate change. Climate change is one of the most important environmental issues facing businesses today. Organizations contribute to climate change primarily through greenhouse gas emissions, directly or indirectly through their energy use, supply chains, transportation, and products. But companies are also affected by climate change. Floods, heat waves, droughts, storms, and water shortages can damage infrastructure and disrupt supply chains. Pakistan is particularly vulnerable to these risks. Businesses, therefore, increasingly need to consider both physical climate risks and transition risks as economies move toward lower carbon systems. Pollution isn't just about visible waste. It can involve air, water, and soil. Industrial facilities may release pollutants into the air or generate wastewater and hazardous materials. Businesses therefore need to consider how their activities affect environmental quality and surrounding communities. Effective environmental management can include pollution prevention, cleaner production, wastewater treatment, emissions control, and responsible handling of hazardous materials. From an ESG perspective, the question is not simply how much pollution a company produces, it is also what the company is doing to prevent, reduce, and manage that pollution. The third factor is water. Water is essential for almost every sector of the economy. Agriculture, food production, manufacturing, energy generation, and cities all depend on reliable water resources. Organizations therefore need to consider water consumption, water availability, wastewater, and water pollution. This is particularly important for Pakistan because water resources are under increasing pressure from population growth, climate change, agriculture, urbanization, and changing rainfall patterns. For many organizations, water is becoming not only an environmental issue, but also a business continuity and financial risk. The fourth factor is waste. Organizations generate many types of waste, including municipal, industrial, hazardous, plastic, and electronic waste. Traditional waste management follows a linear model: take, make, use, and dispose. ESG encourages organizations to consider more circular approaches. This means reducing waste at the source, reusing materials, repairing products, recovering resources, and recycling wherever possible. This leads us to the concept of the circular economy, where resources and materials remain in use for as long as possible while waste is minimized. The fifth factor is energy. Organizations need energy to operate buildings, factories, transportation systems, data centers, and supply chains. ESG therefore considers both how much energy an organization uses and where that energy comes from. Energy efficiency can reduce costs and environmental impacts. Renewable energy, including solar, wind, and hydropower, can support the transition toward lower carbon energy systems. For companies, the energy transition can create both risks and opportunities, from changing energy prices and regulations to new technologies and investment opportunities. The sixth factor is biodiversity. Biodiversity refers to the variety of life on Earth, including species, ecosystems, and genetic diversity. Businesses depend on nature in many ways. Agriculture depends on healthy soils, water, pollination, and ecosystems. Forestry depends on healthy forests. Tourism depends on natural landscapes and biodiversity. But business activities can also contribute to habitat destruction, pollution, overexploitation of resources, and ecosystem degradation. Therefore, biodiversity is becoming an increasingly important ESG consideration. These environmental issues are particularly important for Pakistan. The country faces challenges related to climate change, air pollution, water stress, waste management, deforestation, biodiversity loss, and energy transition. At the same time, Pakistan's ESG landscape is developing through initiatives related to green taxonomy, sustainable finance, ESG disclosure, carbon markets, and climate risk management. This means environmental ESG is becoming increasingly relevant for Pakistani companies, banks, investors, and policymakers. So what can organizations do? The first step is to measure their environmental impacts. Then they can set targets, manage risks, reduce emissions, improve energy and water efficiency, minimize waste, and protect biodiversity. Finally, organizations should communicate their performance transparently through appropriate sustainability and ESG disclosures. The basic process is simple: measure, manage, reduce, disclose, and improve. Let's summarize. The environmental pillar of ESG includes many issues, but 6 fundamental areas are climate change, pollution, water, waste, energy, and biodiversity. These issues can affect not only the environment, but also business operations, financial performance, reputation, and long-term resilience. Therefore, environmental ESG should be viewed as both an environmental responsibility and a strategic business consideration.